So what's up YouTube, I'm back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about why you need window tint on your car. Now before I begin this video, I'm going to show something that I recently just got my TikTok sticker on my window. But anyways, without further ado, let's get on with the video. Now tint is something that most people do on their cars. Many people have different reasons towards tinting their vehicles. But however, I'm going to give my opinion towards why you should tint your windows. So the first reason that I have is safety. Now many of y'all might ask that how does tinting your windows make you safe or something like that? Well, it all has to do with the film on the glass. You see, window tint is basically like a sticker on your glass. So therefore, let's say you get involved in some serious collision. The tint, the film, will basically prevent the glass from shattering into multiple pieces. So tempered glass, when it breaks, our windows are made out of tempered glass. It basically breaks into tiny little millions of pieces of glass when it penetrates, when it shatters. So the tint, what it basically does is that it holds the glass together. I'm not saying that's going to make it impossible to break your window, because that is some reasons that a lot of people argue that tint is also kind of dangerous for your car. Like let's say your car is sinking and you have no other choice but to break the window to escape. The tint will just basically like prevent the glass from like being broken and you're just going to drown and all that. No, that's not the thing. What tint essentially does is that it makes the window a little bit more difficult to break. So you need to use special techniques in order to break the window. But however, I consider this a safety thing. Like let's say you get T-boned. You wouldn't want like a whole bunch of like glass all around you. Now I know that first responders like paramedics and firefighters may argue that it kind of makes their job difficult, that if they're trying to rescue someone, that the tint basically like makes it harder to break the window and all that, and other reasons why they also argue that. But let's say if I'm involved in a collision where they have no other choice but to break my window to rescue me, I wouldn't want like a whole bunch of glass to like be all over me and maybe possibly get into my eyes and all that. I would rather have a huge sheet come at me than have like tiny pieces of glass, because glass is glass. Like even though it's still tempered glass, it's still glass. It will still cut you. Now, the second reason that I have is the benefits that you get from tinting your windows. And those benefits are 99% UV rejection. And depending on the type of film that you go with, the IR percentage also matters as well. Now, IR is basically the amount of heat it reduces from getting into your vehicle. Now, most tints on the market do at least have a 35% IR heat rejection rate. But however, the more expensive ceramic options have it between 88 to 95%. And this gives you a great advantage during the summer months, that it basically prevents your car from being super hot. And when your car is less hot, you don't have to use the AC. And you don't have to go super dark in order to get all these advantages. Like I mentioned previously, that like there's a lot of high quality ceramic films out there that will have a really high IR percentage. So you don't need to go like 5% or limo in order to experience all of that stuff. And UV protection is also essential as well. Now, I'm not gonna lie that some vitamin D is good for our skin, but however, constantly being exposed to UV light and sunlight isn't good for your skin. It's gonna cause sunburns and it's going to cause you to age excessively. And not even that, just like the heat and the UV rays attacks you yourself, it also attacks your interior as well. Your interior will also start to age much faster. It will start to wear down your plastics, your leather, all of that stuff. And that's why many people that live in like places where it gets really hot, they end up tinting their vehicles, and oftentimes they'll go super dark. Like they'll do 2 layers of 5%. Especially I see this a lot with like people in Texas and Arizona, that they'll definitely like black out their trucks or their cars because it gets that damn hot over there. Now, however, I do live in Alberta and we do experience like winters most of the time. But however, when we do have summer, we do have unbearable summers, especially during the past like 2 to 3 years. We've had some of the worst summers. Like it has gotten really hot. Like I'm talking like between 30 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, the third reason that I have is that tint reduces glare. And I'm not gonna lie that this is beneficial in both cases of day and night. Let's say you're driving during the day and the sun is out. You're going to be constantly blinded by the sun. Now, tint, on the other hand, reduces the glare, so you won't be blinded by the sun. And the same principle applies at night as well. I swear some people have the brightest headlights. Like they're not even on high beams and they're really bright, and me having a low car, I literally get blinded by it, and the tint helps me so that I don't get blinded by constantly looking at it. Now, I know that some people may argue that if you really have a vision problem, like you can't stand the sunlight or people's headlights, all of that, you might as well put on some sunglasses. Well, the thing with sunglasses is that the tint lens that is on it kind of gives you like a chameleon type of look during certain light conditions. So I wouldn't really recommend it because sunglasses are much darker tinted than your typical tint films. That's what I'm just talking from experience. Everyone has their own experience, so don't come at me for the sunglass thing. And reducing the glare basically makes it safer for you to drive in all conditions. But however, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that if you go too dark, the beneficial thing could turn into a safety hazard. So let's say if you have tint that is way too dark on your car and you somehow cannot handle the darkness, my advice is that just take it off. In my honest opinion, 5% is the darkest I would go on my windows. Anything darker than 5% is stupid. 5% itself is pretty dark. I wouldn't go any darker than 5% on the windows. I know I've seen like people with double 5 on their windows. Some people do like 3 layers of 5. Some people like heck even do like 10 layers of tint. If you cannot handle it, take it off. It's not worth it. Anyways, on to number 4. The most common reason why people get their windows tinted is because of privacy. And I'm not gonna lie, privacy is important. We keep stuff in our cars and you don't want people to be like poking around and looking around like what do you have in your car. And that also prevents thieves from targeting your vehicle. Because let's say you go shopping and you somehow like are a big baller and you decide to buy a whole bunch of Gucci or Louis Vuitton. And if someone sees that in your car, you could be a target to theft. I've heard many cases in which where people left stuff in their car and next their car was broken into and all of their stuff was stolen. And thieves typically do not target cars with tinted windows because if they don't see anything valuable in the car that they can steal, they're probably just going to leave that car alone and move on to the next car. So that's why privacy is important for your car. And another reason that I have for privacy is that let's say you're driving down the road. Someone looks at your car and you look back. It's kind of an awkward situation. And I'm not gonna lie, you also need tint for any backseat activities or any activities with your significant other. And moving on to the last option has to do with aesthetics. So tint completely changes the look of your vehicle. It makes your vehicle from a 0 to a 10. Because let's be honest, cars look ugly as a fishbowl. Now I know that certain cars can pull the fishbowl look, such as classics, or if you have a right-hand drive JDM car or certain exotics, in the case of which you want to be seen. But however, most cars pull off tint. And that's the reason why it's the most popular modification in the car community. It's the first thing that most of us do when we get a new car. Now, as I mentioned before, that right-hand drive JDM cars or exotics or classics can pull the fishbowl look. Well, there's a couple of reasons behind that. If you're driving a right-hand drive JDM car, you want people to know that you're driving a right-hand drive JDM car. What's the fun in that? You obviously want people to give you like funny looks, like when they pull up beside you that, really? Why is the steering wheel on the other side? And with exotics, they have like oftentimes nicer interiors and you want to show off the interior, or you just want to show off yourself that, oh, I'm a big baller, I'm driving an exotic. And with classics, like classic cars easily pull the no tint look, because back in the day tint wasn't really a thing, and classic cars have like timeless interiors. Like, why wouldn't you want to show off that interior? Another thing is that with classic cars, it's really hard to tint them, so that's why I'd say like if you got like any 50s, 60s or 70s or like even some 80s cars, like it's not really worth it to put tint on it. It's going to be a painful process and it's just not going to make the car look good. Like classic cars look the best without tint. Now, out of all of these reasons, all of these are the reasons why I have tint on all of the vehicles that I've ever owned. Now, the last thing that I just want to talk about is the legal factor. Now, every state or province has different laws regarding window tint. But however, I would just advise that check with your local laws if you are into that kind of thing, that I don't want to break the law or get into trouble or deal with tint tickets. And the second thing that I would always advise people is that get a tint for your car that not only looks good but doesn't obstruct your vision. Because the last thing is that you don't want to be involved in some sort of collision because your tint was too dark and you couldn't see. Now, everyone's eyesight is different. Like some people can handle dark tints, but not everyone can. And you don't have to go dark on the tint to make your car look good. There's a lot of other shades other than 5% that will give you the privacy, give you the looks, give you all the benefits of heat rejection and UV protection, while still making it clear for you to see outside. And another thing that I want to mention is that when you're getting your windows tinted on your car, do not cheap out, because when you cheap out on tint, you're going to deal with a whole bunch of problems. It will bubble, it will fade, it will peel, and it will not look good. And cheap window tint doesn't have as good clarity compared to the high quality window films. Cheap window tint will obstruct your vision. So that's why always when you're getting your windows tinted, do the research to make sure they're not overpaying or you're not cheaping out. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more car content, and I'll see y'all in the next video.
Is that too obvious? Okay, I like your confidence. Oh, that's what could come is okay. Like Kalani's, Roger like Kalani. It's okay, here at the parties, right here at the parties.